So let's get right into the flight. So first thing in the 747, we want to set up our FMC here. So we can do this pretty quickly. I have my flight plan already set up here, so I know which flight plan I want. Alright, so FMC, let's go to the performance page here. We're going to go to a cruising altitude of, let's say, about 25,000 feet. Have a cost index here of 50. Zero fuel weight. We double tap it to get our fuel weight and reserve fuel. There we go. I want to make sure that my fuel value, total fuel 40,000 pounds. Yeah, that's about what we want. Isn't it up here? Engine start. There we go. Yeah, so we're going to start all 4 engines. There we go. So I usually forget that. Alright, so we set our performance. Go to the thrust limit page here. We're going to select the outside air temperature. I usually set it to about 50 here just for the N1 decrease. So we'll set that. There we go. Takeoff flaps. We'll set flaps 10 for takeoff here. And center of gravity, just double tap. Going from Edinburgh, if you want to say, which is Echo Golf. Echo Golf Papa Hotel. And we are going to London City Airport, which is Echo Golf Lima Charlie, London City. There we go. Alright. Activate, do our initiation. So all that's set up. There we go. Alright, so we are going to set our departure now. So I have my flight plan here that I went on onlineflightplanner.com. So we're going to choose this one, this departure. We're going to go to our legs page. So our departure should have been set in here. Next page, there we go. Tango Lima Alpha. Then we're going to Delta Charlie Sierra. Delta departure arrival. There we go. Our arrival into London runway ILS 09 will be good for us here. And we won't take a transition yet. We'll see once we are flying in. So we'll execute that. Alright. And go to the legs page. Make sure that everything is set. Boom. Boom. Alright, listo, and then we've got our approach into London City. Perfect. Alright, cool. So we'll set our takeoff speed. We want to be about 215 knots after takeoff. We'll turn flight director on, setting up the autopilot now. We will set our heading to runway heading for after departure, just in case we want to fly heading mode instead of VNAV. Set it to 240 there. And get our altitude up to whatever we want it to be. So we want to be at about 250. Taxi to runway 24 now. We set up our FMC. Gonna set our flaps down to 10 as we set for departure earlier. I'm gonna make sure I don't roll on the grass here while I do that. I'm gonna set flaps 10. We'll set our auto brakes to rejected takeoff. We didn't play with the packs or the fuel pumps. We're just going to leave that entered for some reason. So make sure we set our V speeds up. So rotating at 141, V2s at 160. Good to know. Alright. So here we are, leveled up with runway 24. Let me make sure I just set my trim up a little bit at least, because right now our trim is quite low. Edinburgh to London City in a 747, so we're flying straight out and then making a turn. So we're just going to get LNAV pretty much on now. So LNAV is on. Take out LNAV, vertical speed. Alright, so as autopilot comes on, we're going to be just taking off. So we're looking for 96.2 on the N1 here. Here we go. So engine stable. And we'll set takeoff thrust here. Should get to about 96. Yeah, it goes a little bit past it here. Gonna pull the engines down just a tad. Trying to hold 96 N1 here. Alright. We are looking to rotate at about 140 or 120 now. Alright. And rotating. Alright, we've got positive rate. Gears coming up. Alright. And climbing nicely here. Keeping an eye on our speed and our instruments because we don't really have a good visual outside here. Trying to maintain that line. Gonna put the nose down a little bit. Make sure we don't lose too much speed here. And I'm gonna trim down a bit. Alright, autopilot's on. So we should be following LNAV, VNAV, and speed hold is on, 215, everything's set. Alright, cool. So we are flying out now, climbing. We should be climbing at 2,500 feet per minute, and we are. Cool. So we'll put our flaps up now. Don't need any more flaps. We're climbing nice and fast. Gonna set our speed up about 230 knots now. And just a simple departure out with a 747, guys. Nothing more to it. Low visibility. Hopefully we have better visibility in London Center once we get over there. Sorry, London City. Yeah, there we go. So now just monitoring, making sure that our 747 does what we want. So it should be making a left turn soon. Kind of unfortunate it's so cloudy. No visual on London or on Edinburgh. And monitoring, making sure that left turn is going to be happening. We are on LNAV, but you never know. And as I thought, plane's having no trouble climbing at 2,500 feet per minute here. Left turn is happening now. And we are still in the thick of the clouds here. Hopefully we come out of here soon. And pretty smooth departure here. So now we're going to be climbing up to flight level 250, 25,000 our cruising altitude, and be heading towards London City Airport here. We're only 300 nautical miles away, so nice short flight. And perfect. So that was the pretty simple takeoff with the 747. We set up our FMC. We set up our EFB. We would have set up our EFB, but and again, it's still not working, guys. Let's keep going a little bit faster. Get the engines working. And I'll see you guys in London City for that arrival. Alright everyone, welcome into the approach to London City. We are flying the ILS runway 09er into London City Airport. I don't even know if we're going to be able to land this 747 on this long runway. On the short runway, rather. It's about 5,000 feet. We are coming in here almost, very shortly here. We're trying to maintain 2,000 feet towards the end. We're holding at 240 knots here. I could actually set flaps to 10 and slow us down a little bit. So, yeah, let's see if we could land this 747 on this 5,000 foot runway in London City. The other peculiar thing about this ILS approach is that most ILS approaches give you a 3-degree glide slope. So you're coming in, 3 degrees from the ground. In London, since you have buildings and everything in the way, you have a 5.5 degree glide slope, if I'm not mistaken. We should see it somewhere here. Yeah, glide path 5.5 degrees. So that's going to be, for a 747 coming in at 5.5 degrees, that's super steep. We've got a 5,000 foot runway. It's not long. It's actually the 4,927 feet. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. So one thing I'm going to do so that we're not rushing on the ILS approach here is I'm going to get my heading to bring us right onto that runway heading here, but I want to give myself a little bit more time, so we're going to switch to heading mode, and it should be making a right turn now towards the heading that I chose here instead of going right towards our ILS approach fix. I've just captured localizer, putting the gear down. And localizer, as you can see, is captured. We are going to turn on the approach hold for the glide slope now and slowly slowing this thing down. So we are coming in on runway heading. Kind of overshot the localizer, but it looks like it's coming back. So we are now lining up with the runway here at London City Airport, and we're going to try to land this 747. So here we are. We are holding at about 2,000 feet here, keeping an eye on our glide slope. It's going to be a tough approach. Should be really slowing this thing down now. Don't want to be coming in too fast. Going to set flaps 25 here. I do want to set my auto brakes to max auto for this arrival, because it's going to be a tough arrival into London Center. So as you can see, we're coming in with a 747. We have that skyline in front of us here. Beautiful skyline. Localizer is captured for this ILS approach, and now we're just being patient, waiting on localizer. So gears down, auto brakes set, flaps are not full yet, but we will set them to full shortly here. Just waiting for that localizer to start doing its thing. Localizer is going to come later than we usually expect it, because we are flying this high glide path, as I mentioned before, 5.5 degree glide path on this ILS approach. So glide slope is very steep. So that's what we are going to be expecting here. Let's try to get a nice landing. Looks like someone over there is watching my landing. Hopefully he gets to see a nice one. So here we are coming in on London. Got the nice buildings there, which is the reason why we have such a high glide path, so that we're not flying between the buildings, and if anything goes wrong, those buildings are not a factor for us. Alright, so I do have that airport in sight over there as we are flying through. There's our 747 flying through London City. It's going to be a tough approach here. Alright, so going to get flaps full now. Full flaps. Got the runway in sight. We are going to slow this thing down a little bit more here, about 140 knots. That was our approach speed. And glide path is going to be coming down very late, but it will come down, hopefully, or else we are just going to keep flying at the same altitude. Alright, here comes a glide path. There we go. And it's coming down very quickly. And we've intercepted, and plane's going to make its way down. Alright, so I'm going to turn auto throttle off here, and I'm going to be controlling the speed. I'm going to almost idle the engines here. As you can see, we are coming in very, very, very steep in this 747. Alright, I'm almost idling the engines now, as we are going a little bit fast. Gosh, it's going to be a tough approach with the 747, guys. Alright, we're back on the glide path here. Trying to keep my speed down. Auto brakes are on max auto. Spoilers are armed. We are idling the engines. Alright, autopilot is off. I've got control. I've got control here. Getting a little bit under the glide path. Alright, here we are, London City in a 747.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Alright, and full braking, reverse thrust. Oh, let's see if we can get this stopping fast enough. Come on. Come on, 7-4. Slow down, 7-4. Slow down. I think we got it. I think we got it. And there we are, guys. Landed that 747 in London City. I don't think these taxiways are even big enough for this plane, so we're not going to bother taxiing to the gates or anything. Alright, that was fun, tough approach. Hope you enjoyed. So it's doable, guys. We can land a 747 here. If you can take it off, that's another question. You're going to have to be pretty light.